We are live on Make Park Radio. For anyone catching us live on the streams, thank you for tuning in. If you're catching us later on, make sure to subscribe on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, and anywhere you can find podcasts. Shout out to Make Park Radio for the lovely home. Speaking of someone that has made the studio his home, that made the stage feel like home. This guy has been rocking stages all over. He got a really super dope project coming out, but I could let him tell you about that one. I got the one and only, The Truth, in the building. What up, man?
It's good, bro. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed that set,
Thank
especially
you.
the make sure you put on Sunscreen Record. That was different. But you know what's crazy is that your records are like that too. The same type of thing. You know, you got a dope vibe, kind of beat, and then you have real positivity pouring into the vocals. So it's cool. I liked it. I enjoyed that.
It was cool because when one of my homegirls, she heard one of my tracks, she was like, "Yo, did you ever hear this? The Sunscreen?" I'm like, "What?" And now it's like I try to slip it in whenever I can.
Right. Is there a genre for that? What would that be called? You know, that's new, huh?
So it's interesting. I think he recorded it just as an audio and put like ambient music over it.
Right.
But then like all these DJs started like taking the vocals and making mixes.
Remixes and shit. That's cool.
So the one we just heard was like a tropical remix by Mau Kalalu, a dude probably from Hawaii.
Yeah, it was a
just
vibe.
Flipped it.
It was definitely a vibe. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
So it's kind of crazy because you came here and you were kind of telling me about stuff with family. I've only really been aware of your music and what you've been doing lately, and you know, we met at the new Shaolin, Bosses of Shaolin show, which was a great one. Which
I won, and I'm the boss of Shaolin. So let's get that right. They put the crown on my head that night. That was dope. That was a dope night, man. And that was like my third performance back to music. Mm-hmm. Like I hadn't performed in 10 years. 8 years maybe.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. And I came back. I did a little soft show with Hub 17. I went for one of their open mics on second Saturdays. I did that with Girl on the Rocks. I seen her on Instagram, and I hit her up like, "Yo, can I come through? Is that open mic?" And I went there, and I just got reintroduced to like performing in front of people. And then I went ahead and like a month or two later, I hosted my album release party there too. And then I performed in front of like a big crowd of people that I had come out with me for the album release. And then I was super comfortable going into that Bosses of Shaolin show. That was a dope show.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
It was hot that night.
Very hot. Shout out to Salvo NYC. He was super hot. He couldn't wait to get out of there. The photographer, the camera guy.
Yeah,
he was like, I gotta go.
Oh man. I was up there and it was like 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, it was hot.
Like 102 in there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you know, I wear my jeans. It matches my shirt.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, I was up there in jeans too. Jumping around the stage like, oh God, what did I do?
That was a good night though, and
I didn't want to shake anybody's hands after I got up the stage because I'm all sweaty. I'm sweating, like dripping, and everybody's like shaking my hand because I thought it was a dope performance. Apparently, other people did, and they were like, "Yo, that was dope." Shaking, I'm like, everybody that I shook their hand, I had to apologize because I was like leaving them with like a trace of my sweat. It was crazy. I had to go outside, catch a. It was cooler outside than it was in that place. That place was hot.
It was like. You were literally giving them a sample. You're like, yo, this is what went into this. So,
yeah, exactly. They took some of that performance home with them. I'm sure somebody was like, I'm never washing my arm. Yeah, right.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So as someone that's, you have your responsibilities. I didn't even know you had 4 kids.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. My day-to-day is crazy. Like, I wake up 4:30 in the morning. I go to work 5 days a week. I work for an elevator company out in Manhattan. I'm in the union, so I get up every day. I go to work. And then when I get off work, and I got all this forced overtime as well, so I'm never sure when I'm getting out of work during the week, so I can never commit to anything. Like I can't play on like a basketball team on Wednesday nights because I don't know if I'm gonna make it, and I can't
Gotcha.
do anything with the kids during the week because I don't know if I'm gonna make it. So usually the time is directed in like I'll come home, I'll shower, I'll eat, I'll sit with the kids for a little bit, sit with the wife for a little bit, and then if I got something in my head that I need to get out, I go right down to the garage. I got a studio in my garage. I record. I put everything down. I have tons of material.
That's excellent. Yeah, just as someone, I don't have really any kids, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel a little pressed for time when I'm trying to do, passion projects, or I'm trying to really do things that matter other than work and family stuff. How do you even squeeze it? Like, do you have like a gap of time, or do you just kind of find it?
I just go.
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't sit. I don't stop to like evaluate. I'm never like, should I go downstairs? Nah, I am going downstairs. Like, it's never. You just gotta go. You gotta keep grinding, man. If you're just sitting on the couch playing video games or watching TV or something, you're just wasting time, man. You could be utilizing that free time to do things. People sit around all day smoking pot and playing video games. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's not making you any kind of money at all. Like, there's no progress in that. You're on 2K playing a fake career.
It's there's so many lanes to get caught up.
Right.
Like,
distractions. It's all distraction.
Yeah.
To keep you regular.
So what I've kind of learned over time, I used to always, because I work from home, so I would always feel like if I'm home, I'm working, like I should be working. So to me, it was kind of like finding the opposite of just like finding time to chill, finding time to relax, finding time to just watch a show.
Right.
Because I used to always be like at home, so I'm like, oh well, sometimes it was hard to divide the vibe from working to just going back and just, because I'm sitting on the couch where I work.
Right.
I'm used to working there, so sometimes it messes up your mind.
Yeah.
Or you get programmed and you kind of have to like break that pattern.
Well, yeah, your habits. You gotta create habits and also break habits along the way too. So, it's all part of the process.
Yeah.
You find what you're great at and then you do it. Passion should overrule anything. Whatever you're passionate about, it should be what you're doing. Whatever fills your heart.
Exactly.
You do that. That's what you want to do.
So I know you got into the music maybe a little later in the game. Maybe some people, I know they get into it around their teens or whatever. Maybe you could tell us that story of how maybe you I don't even really know how you got into it or you got back to it or.
All right, so well, not quick, but I started rapping when I was young. I was like 16, 17. I started rapping. It actually was a couple of friends of mine. My father used to write poems for my mother. So naturally, when I got a girlfriend, when I was younger, I would write her poems. So I'd write her little poems, and they were pretty good. And then I was hanging out with a couple of friends of mine, and they were playing beats, and they were rapping. And so I rapped one of them poems. And my boy who was super into hip-hop, shout out to Shisha Entertainment. He's always running around with me, big supporter. And my boy Mike, one of my best friends, they were like, yo, you got to rap, because I had like a dope flow. I was able to just rap. And then he made me a beat CD, came over the next day, was like, yo, I want you to write to this. And from that day, I got a stack of notebooks in my garage like this. From the time I'm 16, like nice. I literally could go back and like relive my life through all those years because I wrote it all down. It's insane. But I didn't push anything. I didn't push any music. First of all, when I'm 33, so when I was 17, it wasn't that easy to just record music. You had to like know somebody, get in a studio, know a producer. They didn't have sound. This is before the internet blew. Like I was still plugging the computer into the phone line to get on AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah.
So this is before the internet and SoundClick and BeatStars, and like I had to like really find a beat and like write something and then find a studio and then go record. It wasn't as accessible as it is now. Everybody could plug in their computer and microphone, record something, and then drop it on YouTube and oversaturate the game. But
yeah.
so I never really pushed anything. But by the time I had enough material together that I was planning to drop something, my girl got pregnant. And that was in 2013. So I made a choice. I chose to be a dad and go to work and stop living on my father's couch and get a job and get a car and get an apartment. And, you know, we had the baby. Then we moved. We moved down to Florida for a couple of years. That was a growth experience.
Wow.
Had another baby. Then I got into the union up here. We came back, had another baby, and then boom, had another baby. And then, and then recently I had sold all my equipment and everything when I was about to have my first kid. And so I kind of like walked away. I was like, I'm not doing this no more. But I kept the hobby and I kept writing. I never stopped writing. I never stopped creating and perfecting my craft. I was always on it, always. And when we got back here and I had finally gotten a good job where I'm making decent money, I was able to buy all my equipment back. I was able to put my family in a house. I was able to set time aside for me and for what I wanted to do. And I put together a project and people were like, yo, you got to drop something. You got to drop something. You got to drop something. Nah, I'm just fucking around. I'm too old. Now I'm just fucking around. And before you knew it, I dropped the project and here I am.
That's amazing, bro. It's that's something I always talk about. I always talk about the garden and you know, spending time in it, and pretty much a metaphor, like taking care of whatever that's important to you.
Right.
And I think that's really awesome that you made that decision, because I feel like also making decisions are key, because sometimes a lack of a decision could prevent us from going to the next step somewhere, or we're kind of looking out, you know, looking through the door and seeing what's happening, but we're not walking through that door. So
right.
I kind of like that. I really like that you made that decision. You're like, this is something that really matters to me. I'm gonna keep it part of my life, but I'm gonna do what's right for my family, and I'm gonna make sure I check all the boxes that I need to be able to provide for the family.
Sure. That was a big thing for me. You know, my father's a man's man. He took care of me and my brothers, and you know, you do what you see, you do what you know. So that's what I knew how to do. I knew how to be a man and go to work. So I did. But now it's like, okay, that's good. That part of my life is set. Now, let me see what I could do with this ability.
Yeah, because we get these gifts, and it's like, how did that feel? Did you feel like you were kind of like holding stuff in, or were you kind of just so caught up that it was hard to?
No, it was like a burden. It was crazy. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do was like give up. Because I didn't want to give up, because I truly believed in my ability, my talent. I believed in it. And, you know, but my love for being a father, being a husband, being a family man, that overpowered my passion. And I did what I had to do, but always in the back of my mind, I was like, man, I'm so good at this. Like, I can't not just ever do it again. And little by little, I kind of, like, it just attracted me back. Like, it was no way I could not do it. It was no way, because then I started making some records. And then also the time, you know, I grew up a lot over those years, having kids, becoming a father, being a responsible adult, like adulting in life, paying bills, you know, taking care of a family. That alone gives you a different perspective of what you think you want out of life and what you think life is supposed to be about. And where I was young and I was running around and I was selling drugs and I was getting locked up and I was doing all kinds of stupid things. And now I'm an adult and I think before, you know, you take a second to take it in and understand that, you know, you're in control. Don't let anybody else be in control of you. So with that, I was like, you know, why not? Why not get back into this? And why not tell a story and give some perspective and be a role model out here with all this drug culture music that we got going on right now. Everything's about popping perks and doing this and doing, lean, and drugs are cool, and disconnected sex is cool, and that shit is whack. That shit is whack. There's more purpose. What purpose are you serving? You're supposed to be out here on a platform giving inspiration for what? To do drugs? To go out here and party and not be a responsible person and contributing factor to society? Like, come on. There's more than that. Way more than that.
Talk.
So even though the nature of my music is aggressive, I'm sorry, I'm rambling here, but even though the nature of my music is aggressive, it's all a collective, past, present, and future. It's, what I've done, what I'm doing, and what I want to do. So it's never at a standstill. I'm never specifically, you could have a 16 from me and I could talk about 7 different points in my life because I'm drawing from experience. And with your growth of experience, you grow as an artist. You have more to talk about, more insight.
That's real.
Yeah, 100%. That's why Kanye went crazy.
Bro, it's so much that people have to deal with, and I can't imagine the inspiration that would come from having a kid, let alone 2, 3, 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And like the grind that goes into that, like, and just the love. There's probably no other love like it.
None.
So
Zero.
to be able to like take that experience now as an older version of yourself, wiser, and you kind of planted that garden. You got that going, and now you're like, you put your time in, and like the garden is built, and now it's like you spend your time with it every day, of course, but now it's like it gave you the ability to be able to spend money and get the equipment and get the home and certain things. Because sometimes I sometimes see artists kind of take the music route fully, and I totally admire anyone that puts their all into the art.
Sure. 100%.
But sometimes I see them fall short, and then they use the term starving artist, and it may prevent growth in their personal lives.
Sure.
So I think it's very admirable for someone to be like, you know what, this is something that really matters, but I don't just have to do this. I could have a whole other life and be inspired by that life, and then take it to the art world that I'm creating in.
Yeah, I tell my wife all the time, she's the foundation, like she's the rock, she's the glue. Without her and without the kids and without that, I can't do this. That it just goes hand in hand. Without that, my mind would be lost, because this is all the inspiration, all the good energy, everything that I got coming out of me right now is a reflection of that, what I have here. So when things are not going so good, and they have gone way left, and there's those moments where I feel defeated, even in the music, like I can't get a thought out, I can't focus, because the foundation gets cracked. But then you have to have the wherewithal to fix and to repair and keep moving forward. I got a record on my next project, and one of the lines I say is like, it's the hardest thing that we can do is stick it out. The easy thing to do is walk away and take a different route. Like, that's easy. Walking away is easy. Try something different. What's hard? What's hard is getting over it. What's hard is forgiveness. What's hard is moving past the negativity and rising above that and becoming a better version of yourself and doing more, and you learn from these experiences.
That's real, because if we just kind of walked away whenever something hit the fan, or or we got into a fight with our spouse, like we just walked away, or the music's not working, so we walk away. What will we have?
Nothing.
You know what I mean?
Do you know how many of your favorite artists wouldn't have made it if they just walked away when it wasn't working?
Exactly.
You can't give up. Don't quit. If you love something, cherish it and grow with it. That's it. You love it, do it, and stick to it. If you don't stick to something, you never do nothing.
Real talk. Yeah, because it's just part of life. Yeah. There's no way around dealing with things, especially hardships, or sometimes we don't get along. It always bothers me when, like, I've had friends in the past and we've had like one disagreement and that person would just like stop talking to me, and I'm like, it really wasn't that big of a thing. It wasn't me betraying them. It was never something of such a hard nature. But then I'm like, all right, I guess that person wasn't a friend if that's what it takes to break the bond that we have. Because it's just like, but I just believe in endurance. I believe in like breaking through the point where we feel like we're about to break, to have the breaking point. You know what I mean? And having the breakthrough. I just don't believe in just endings. You know, if something doesn't make sense, there's been times I've had to pivot in life where I've been like,
sure,
all right, this isn't right for me. I'm gonna go somewhere else. But then there's been times where I knew it was right for me, and I was like, oh man, this is annoying, or I don't want to do this. When I dealt with that thing, I learned so much in that process.
Sure, you learn, no matter good, bad, or indifference, whatever the experience is that you go through, you grow. You grow from it. So you take the good with the bad. Hopefully it's more good than bad, and hopefully the bad stays bad in the past. So, you just try to learn from things that have happened before, and then, know how to deal with certain situations as they come back up.
Yeah.
So.
That's real, bro.
It's being insightful.
So, I titled this episode "Sufficient" because I thought it was important how you were talking about how, because sufficient, the definition, it comes from a Latin verb meaning to meet the need.
Mm-hmm.
And if something is sufficient, it has met or satisfied a need. Enough is often used as a synonym for sufficient. And when something is not sufficient, it is too little to take care of what's needed. So I titled this episode "Sufficient" because we've shared stories about how, you made the music work. You made the family thing work. You were able to meet the needs.
Yeah,
to make these things happen.
You got to make sacrifices, right? So you got to give up that video game. You got to give up that TV show. You got to give up that Sunday Thanksgiving, the week before Thanksgiving with your family because you got a video. You got to give up things. You got to give up your time for things that you love to do. That's how you become sufficient. And then you pick what you want to be sufficient at. You get to choose in this life what you want to make work and what you don't want to make work. It's your life. You ultimately have to be happy with the decisions that you make. So if you don't want to do something, don't do it. It's simple as that. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to drive out that far. I don't want to see that person, or I don't want to spend time with those kids, or you choose what you want to do, and you delegate your time, or you allocate your minutes, your slotted minutes per day to what you want to do, and that's how you can be sufficient. But you got to have a plan. You got to know what you want to do. Some people are just out here walking around aimless, lost. They don't even know what they want. Do they want to rap? Do they want to be a photographer? Do they want to be a DJ? Do they want to have a podcast? Do they want to be a movie? They don't even know. Everybody is so generalized. Like, I'm an artist. All right, what kind of artist are you? Show me what you do.
Yeah.
And you have nothing to show because you haven't stuck with anything. You haven't been sufficient at anything because you're just all over the place and you're scattered. So you got to choose what you want to do. Make the choice.
I was reading on entrepreneur.com today, and there was an article, and it said, start with why. And it said, what is your why? Asking why in regards to your path will set a proper foundation for effectively exploring the best possibilities and evaluating options to realize your dreams of self-sufficiency. And then it said, identifying your primary aim in life will be the driving force.
100%. Yeah. My why is freedom. Freedom from society. I don't want to be, I go to work every day because I got to pay the bills, right? So if I don't go to work every day and I chase music, 24/7, then I can't pay the phone bill, I can't pay the electric bill, I can't pay the car payment, I can't pay the mortgage, I can't, if she needs toilet paper, like I can't do anything. So with music, the goal obviously is to make money. Everybody wants to make money, right? But the money, my idea of having the money isn't the same as everybody else's. Like, some of these kids, they get a deal and the first thing they do is they go straight to the jeweler. Like, the first thing I'm doing when I get a deal is going and moving my family out of Staten Island and putting them in some nice house in Jersey with private schools and, second car and, taking care of my brothers and, my mother, my father, and taking care of them and making sure that everybody's comfortable to the point where we're not, in the rat race. I just want to wake up and be free and live life on my own terms, decide what I want to do with my day. And the money gives you freedom. And people say it makes you more of what you are. Yes, but, it doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you a worse person. It just gives you freedom. You have financial freedom. That is the goal. That is my why. So I could wake up in the morning and, take my kids to school and then go to the studio. You know what I mean?
That's real.
Come home, pick my kids up, and go back to the studio. Or maybe take them for ice cream or whatever, whatever I feel like doing that day. But I'm going to choose.
That's amazing, bro. It's true.
Working for a man that, he chased his dream and he got it, and I'm working for him. I don't want to work for him no more. He's a nice guy, but...
I feel like there's always paying your dues and whatever it is that you, in any field, it could be baseball, it could be, we're never just given what we want.
No, never.
We have to because that's like the strong survive, but it's not like you're competing against anyone. You're really competing against yourself.
Right, your
like,
own
are
mind.
you able to deal with these things are you able to deal with the pain? Are you able to deal with the failure?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a easy straight arrow.
No, never.
Your goals.
And then there's another thing. Like, I'm not over here making music out of desperation either. Like, I could be perfectly content with never making $1 off of music and still surpassing 6 figures a year, working my union job and taking care of my family, and eventually moving them to that bigger house out in Jersey with the private school, and eventually having the second car and, having a little bit of more financial freedom, because things get easier as you get older. They don't get that much harder. Your pay goes up, but your mortgage is a set mortgage for, you're locked in for 25 years. It doesn't go up or down. You just pay a little bit more taxes maybe.
Yeah.
Ultimately, things start to get, I wondered, how did my dad do it, but eventually he's making $20 more an hour, but all his bills, they stay right where they're at. So, it does get easier, I believe, I would hope, but I'd be fine. I'm okay in life. Like, I could do that and still survive and be okay and retire at a certain point and, then live life on my own terms. It just take me a little longer and a little less, more passion in that, but I got the passion at home. The garden is there already.
Exactly.
So I'm not out here trying to make music because I'm desperate. I need $1. Like, it's not like that. I'm not begging. Begging.
I think that makes it even more fun. And I think if you could keep the fun and the love in what you're doing, which sometimes when it's your only thing or it's your main stream of revenue, it's like, oh man, I got to do this just because this may be working, and then it doesn't work, and you're disappointed, and
then you have nothing.
Yeah. So
it's not like that.
So, Girl on the Rocks was our guest on the last episode, and we recently did a collaboration, and it was Success.
Mm.
And I think
the clothing.
Yeah.
And I think it's dope. I shared it.
Thank you. And I think that design, it's very important, and just even the word success, but I think society, certain things around us could confuse success, at least in my opinion. Right. And I think it's really important to define your own success. And I really appreciate that you're like, I just want to come home, not say no to anything that my family needs.
Exactly.
And then just do it on my own leisure and not even give a damn if I made $1 off it. The important part is making it.
Yeah, the recognition is the important. I want people to be like, oh, I like that.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? I'm here to connect. And I'm not here to, take out of people's pocket. I don't care about that. Never did. I never did. It is the goal, obviously, because that'll put me in the space that I need to be, that I want to be. But at the end of the day, I got people in Australia like spinning my shit. Like the UK, people they're enjoying the music, and that to me is greater than anything right now, because that's what I'm trying to do. So that's my focus right now, So that's great to see like a kid driving on the right side of the car in the left lane with foreign plates in the car in front of him, playing my music in his car. Like that's cool. That's dope
really
to
cool.
me. Like he made me a beat, by the way, and it was dope, and we created a record. So
I think that's the beauty in art, and I feel that, as someone I've made, my art into a business, and sometimes I have to deal with the growing pain of it. And I'm like, oh man, we didn't make any sales. I don't like that design now. Like, no. And then but I've kind of just been I've hit the wall so many times, and I like find ways to kind of vent through it or like heal through it, that I'm just used to it. And it's like, all right, this is what it is. I'm going to do what's required to hit the number, to be able to pay my employees, to be able to pay myself, to be able to keep everything up and moving. And not every day is this like kickback on the beach, just hitting the button, and it's like on and off.
No.
And it's just me being the same thing. The freedom for me, like my success is just being able to be there for my family when I have one, and never really miss anything. Like I never really want to miss a game. If I have to do a big talk, and like sometimes time conflicts, but if I'm home,
you're there.
I'm there. You know what I mean? And I'm full force.
Super dad.
So that's kind of, that's my definition of success, is like being in control of my time and still being able to provide. When I'm able to do those things, that's going to be a good box to check, even though it's something you got to check every day. It's not a permanent check. You got to keep watering that.
Yeah, of course, 100%. You got to do the little things. It matters. Especially when they're young. They remember they're still growing, so kids don't do what you tell them to do. They do what they see you doing. They mimic. And if they see you reading a book, they're gonna want to read a book. If they see you watching a TV show, they're gonna want to watch a TV show. Like my young son, he's 1, and he's always wants to come downstairs with me. Like he'll scream from the top of the stairs, "Daddy, Daddy," and then I have to go up and like get him and bring him downstairs, and I just let him stand in the garage with me while I'm recording, and he'll just be dancing around because he sees me doing it. So he really loves music, so I connect with him in that way, and it's really dope. So that's the goal, man. Just being sufficient.
That's real, man. And it's it's constantly doing what you're doing, and I think it's really awesome. I didn't even know until before the episode when you were telling me, and that's awesome, man. Putting in that work though.
Yeah, well, I try to separate, right, the persona from the reality, right, because the reality of today's generation is they don't care about that stuff, right? So they take you at face value, right? So they want to see the cool shit. They want to hear the cool stuff. They want to see a dope video. They're consumers at the end of the day. So the people that are consuming me have a certain vision of who I am, and I don't want to ruin the mystique of the persona and the artist that I am. And like, I'm just a regular dude. I drive a minivan, and I go to work every day, and that's it. No, it's people don't get it. Like people in real life understand. My immediate people, they understand. But other people, they just won't get it. Because, how come you rap like that? But you got, you're a working man. Like, I went through things. Like, and I'm telling you what I went through. Like, there's no everything that I say belongs to my life. Everything.
That's excellent, bro. I am. And I know you got a project coming out.
Several.
What's the one that we were chatting about?
So
Quattro
Stagioni. So in July, I released the first album. That was like long overdue. That was the one people were pushing me. Yo, just drop something, drop something. I put something together. I dropped it. I got a great response. I was all over the place. People hitting me left and right. I started exploding a little bit on Instagram out here. I came out of like left field for Staten Island. They were like, who the hell is this guy now? You know, because I wasn't anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I had taken that break and I wasn't, you know, but then I was like, I love Staten Island. I'm gonna put the bridge in, you know, I'm gonna put the Staten Island, the ferry in the background. I'm gonna stand in front of that shit, look super dope. And that was my whole idea, was to get Staten Island behind me and get the support from here first. I'm not gonna make a record and try and push a single and get Brooklyn to mess with me. No, I'm here in Staten Island. I want Staten Island to mess with me first. This is where my family's at. This is where my friends are at. This is where my people's at. So I wanted to get Staten Island to mess with me first. So I dropped that project. And then I came in November. That was in July. Then I did the show, the Bosses of Shaolin show. And then I dropped another project November 1st called Autumn. So I got this idea in my head one day that I wanted to do a 4 Seasons project, right? So, and we all got that one friend that's like super smart, like before Google. Like you have that one friend that's Google. Like if you have a question, yo man, you know anything about this? So this kid's like a walking encyclopedia. Another one of my best friends, Rob. Shout out to Rob out there, Bobby Badfella. And I had this idea for this 4 Seasons project, you know, autumn, winter, spring, and summer. And he's like, that's freaking genius. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you never heard of Antonio Vivaldi? I'm like, no. I'm like, who's that? And then he explained to me, and then I did some research, and it turns out that Antonio Vivaldi is actually a composer from the 1700s that created a composition called the Quattro Stagioni, which is the 4 Seasons. And he had it autumn, winter, spring, and summer. I had no idea about this until he informed me, and he's like, that's pretty genius, you know, that you thought of that, and you had no idea who it was. And I really didn't. And so I was like, well, that's dope. I definitely got to do it now, right? So I dropped the autumn one on November 1st, and now I got the winter coming the end of January.